Hey everyone, welcome back. Ever wonder what really makes people buy? Like what's going on in their heads when they decide to pull out their wallet?
It's like a hidden world, right?
Totally. So today we're going deep into the psychology of selling. And we found this fascinating book, Ventas.pdf, all about sales techniques. And we just had to share some of its wisdom.
And let me tell you, this isn't just your typical sales advice. Ventus.pdf really digs into the psychology behind it all.
Okay, so first things first. I'm guessing the way people bought stuff way back when, before the internet took over the world, is totally different from how it is now, right?
Oh, absolutely. Ventus.pdf actually walks us through this whole evolution of sales. Imagine a time when things were scarce, limited supply salespeople almost didn't have to sell at all.
It was probably like take it or leave it.
Exactly. But now in the digital age, it's a completely different ballgame.
That's for sure. It's like a million options for everything.
Yeah.
So how does Ventus.pdf say we should approach selling in this crazy competitive world?
Well, it really boils down to one key thing, truly knowing your customer. And I don't just mean their age or what they do for a living.
Go deeper. Got it.
You need to understand their psychology. What are their needs, their motivations, their pain points, even things like their location can play a part.
So it's about painting that full picture of who your customer is.
Exactly. You got to get inside their heads, figure out what makes them tick.
Hmm.
And one of the most powerful ways to do that, according to Ventus.pdf, is by asking the right questions.
Okay, so like what kind of questions are we talking about here? Give me an example.
Well, think of it this way. You wouldn't ask a fish the same questions you'd ask a bird, right?
Totally different creature.
Exactly. It's all about tailoring your questions to the specific species of customer you're dealing with.
Makes sense. So what questions should we be asking our customers to really get them talking?
One great approach that Ventus.pdf highlights is using open-ended questions. Questions that can't just be answered with a simple yes or no.
Okay, so more like tell me about or what are your thoughts on kind of.
Exactly. Things like, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing when it comes to, and then fill in the blank with whatever their pain point might be.
So you're not just shoving a product in their face. You're actually listening to their problems, trying to understand their perspective. I like it.
It's about building that connection, that trust.
Okay, so that's open-ended questions. What other types of questions does Ventas.pdf recommend?
Well, on the flip side, you've got your closed questions. These are more direct, help you pinpoint specifics.
So more like, are you currently using or have you ever considered?
You got it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ventus.pdf also talks about using what they call guiding questions.
Guiding questions. Okay, those sound a little sneaky.
Maybe a little. But it's not about being manipulative. It's about subtly nudging the customer towards recognizing a solution, their solution.
So you're leading them down a path, and that path just happens to lead to...
Your amazing product or service, of course.
I knew it.
But seriously, the book emphasizes that it's about truly understanding their needs so deeply that your solution becomes, in their mind, the obvious choice.
It's like you planted the seed, and they're the ones who grew it. So let's say we found our target customer, we're speaking their language, asking all the right questions. Now, how do we actually close the deal?
That, my friend, is where Ventas.pdf drops one of its biggest truth bombs. Focus on benefits over features.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this benefits over features thing.
Think about it. People don't buy products, they buy solutions. They buy better versions of themselves,
So it's not about all the fancy bells and whistles. It's about how those bells and whistles will improve their life.
Exactly. People buy things because of what those things can do for them, how those things make them feel.
So if I'm selling a super fancy new coffee maker, I shouldn't just rattle off all its technical specs. I should be painting a picture of how much more energized and productive they'll be with a delicious cup of coffee every morning.
Now you're getting it. Ventus.pdf even has this catchy little acronym to help us remember the core motivators behind why people buy. Ready for it?
Hit me with it. I love a good acronym.
It's SABONE.
SABONE. Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
I will. But first, we'll circle back to SABONE in just a sec. But first, I want to touch on something Ventus.pdf talks about: objections.
Ooh, yeah. Those awkward moments when you hit a wall with a customer.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Objections aren't always a bad thing.
Really? How so?
Well, think about it. If someone's raising objections, it usually means they're actually engaging with what you're saying. They're thinking it through, not just brushing you off.
So it's a sign that they're at least somewhat interested.
Exactly. They might just need a little more info or a different approach to get on board.
So objections are like an opportunity in disguise.
You got it. And Ventas.pdf lays out some really helpful ways to handle those sometimes tricky situations. The biggest one, listen. Really listen to what your customer's saying.
Not just waiting for your turn to talk, but actually trying to understand their point of view.
Exactly. Oftentimes, an objection is just a request for more information, Maybe they're a little confused or they just need some clarification.
Like they haven't connected all the dots yet, and you just got to...
Draw the lines for them. And Ventas.pdf breaks objections down into different categories, which is really helpful.
Okay, so how does that work? Give me an example.
Sure. Sometimes the objection might be based on wrong information.
Like they heard something about your company or your product that just isn't true.
Exactly. Maybe they read something online or a competitor fed them some bad intel.
So it's your job to
set the record straight. Do it politely, of course, but don't be afraid to correct the misinformation. You've got to be armed with the facts.
Knowledge is power.
You got it. But sometimes the objection might be rooted in something deeper, a genuine concern, maybe.
Like they had a bad experience with a similar product in the past.
That's a good example. Or maybe they're just naturally cautious about change, and those can be tough, right?
So what do you do in those cases? How do you handle those deeper objections?
That's where building that genuine connection, that trust and rapport becomes super important. And Ventas.pdf talks a lot about this. It's got to be woven through the whole sales process. When people trust you, they're more likely to be open to your perspective, even if they have doubts.
Makes sense. So it's not just about selling them something. It's about building a relationship with them.
Exactly, because when you approach objections from that place of understanding and empathy, you're much more likely to find a solution that works for everyone.
Okay, I'm with you on that. But let's be real. Sometimes objections aren't about logic at all. Sometimes it's just pure emotion, right? Like someone who says, it's too expensive. Even if, logically, it's a steal.
Oh, absolutely. I think we've all been there. And that's where, remember that acronym?
Sabon.
Yes. That's where Sabone comes in super handy.
Okay, I'm ready for it now. Break it down for me.
So Sabone stands for security, affection, well-being, pride, novelty, and economy. Ventas.pdf argues that if you can figure out which of these is driving the objection, you can tailor your response to really resonate with what the customer's truly feeling.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So if someone says it's too expensive,
Yeah,
you could appeal to their sense of economy.
exactly. Maybe highlight the long-term value or show how it'll actually save them money down the line compared to a cheaper option.
So it's about framing your response in a way that speaks to their underlying motivation.
You got it. And Ventas.pdf emphasizes that how you respond to objections can make or break the sale.
So no getting defensive, right?
Definitely not. Stay calm, keep it positive, and always be focused on finding that win-win solution. Remember, a no is not always a no forever.
That's true. Sometimes it's just a not right now. Okay, so we've talked about objections. What about what happens after the sale is made?
Post-sales follow-up. Another crucial part, and unfortunately something a lot of people drop the ball on.
So true. It's like they forget about you the second you hand over your credit card.
Right. But Ventas.pdf really emphasizes that the post-sale period is super important. It's your chance to really solidify the customer relationship, turn them into those loyal, raving fans that you want.
Okay, so how do we do that? What are some of the key takeaways from Ventas.pdf when it comes to acing the post-sales game?
Well, it all boils down to exceeding expectations. Don't just meet them. Go above and beyond. Make it a truly positive and memorable experience for your customer.
So how do we actually DO that? Give me some examples.
It doesn't have to be anything over the top. Sometimes it's the little things. A handwritten thank you note, for example, after a purchase, or a personalized email checking in to see how they're liking their new whatever.
I love that. See, those are things that make a difference. It's about showing that you actually care, that you're not just after their money.
Precisely. Ventas.pdf also emphasizes the need to stay top of mind, without overwhelming them.
So it's not about spamming their inbox with a million promotions, but about finding genuine ways to stay relevant in their lives.
Exactly. Maybe you share some helpful content related to something they're interested in, or offer them exclusive discounts, or even just send them a birthday greeting, little things like that.
Right. Because ultimately, you're building a long-term relationship here, not just going for the quick sale.
100%. And think back to those moments of truth we talked about earlier. Those are even more important once the sale is made.
Oh, you mean those key touch points where you have a chance to really wow them, make a lasting impression?
Precisely. Think about those things. A seamless delivery experience, responsive and friendly customer service, maybe even proactively solving a problem before it even becomes a problem. Those are moments of truth where you can create a truly positive experience that keeps them coming back for more.
I'm loving this. It's like Ventas.pdf is giving us the cheat codes to
Yeah.
building a brand that people don't just buy from, but a brand they actually believe in and connect with.
And that, my friend, is the ultimate goal.
Wow. So we've covered a lot of ground today. Customer psychology, objections, post-sale follow-up. We even touched on our favorite acronym, SABONE. But before we wrap up part 2, is there anything else Ventas.pdf covers that we should mention?
Oh, there's one more juicy bit from Ventas.pdf we got to talk about before we wrap up.
Hit me with it.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about what we say to customers, the words we use.
Right, like our whole SABONE breakdown.
Exactly. But Ventas.pdf dedicates a whole chapter to the unspoken stuff nonverbal communication. Because sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Oh, you mean body language and all that?
Exactly. And this chapter is full of fascinating insights. Like, did you know that your body language can totally betray your true feelings, even if you're a smooth talker?
You mean like, even if I think I'm doing a good job of playing it cool, my body's giving me away?
Totally. Ventas.pdf argues that being mindful of these nonverbal cues, both our own and the customers, can totally change the game.
Okay, so how do we get better at reading those signals? I'll be honest, sometimes I don't even realize what my body's doing. Like I'll catch myself fiddling with my pen or something, and I had no idea I was even doing it.
It's more common than you think. We all have those little unconscious habits. But like with anything, the first step is awareness, right?
Right, so how do we become more aware of our own body language?
Ventas.pdf has some interesting suggestions, like practicing in front of a mirror.
Wait, seriously, like I'm rehearsing for a play.
It might feel silly, but it really works. Or even recording yourself doing a mock sales pitch. The key is to really pay attention to your posture, your hand gestures, your facial expressions.
That's like giving yourself a body language audit.
Exactly. Are you coming across as open and confident, or are you accidentally sending out vibes of like nervousness or disinterest? Because people pick up on that stuff.
They totally do. Okay,
Okay.
so that's how we become more aware of our own body language.
Yeah.
What about reading the customer's nonverbal cues? What should we be paying attention to there?
Good question. Ventas.pdf talks about establishing a baseline. So at the beginning of the interaction, when things are still kind of casual, pay attention to how they normally carry themselves. You know, their posture, their expressions, all that. Then, as you go through the conversation, notice if anything changes, especially when you bring up certain topics.
So like if I mention the price and they suddenly cross their arms, that's probably not a good sign.
Probably not. Or maybe they were making great eye contact before, and now they're looking everywhere but at you. Those could be signs that they're not totally on board.
It's like they say, the body doesn't lie. Okay, so let's say we've picked up on some of those negative vibes.
Yeah.
How do we course correct?
Well, you don't want to be too obvious about it, like calling them out directly on their body language. That could make things awkward.
Definitely don't want to do that.
Right. So Ventas.pdf suggests some more subtle ways to shift the energy. One interesting technique is mirroring.
Mirroring, like I'm looking in a mirror.
Oh, sort of. It's about subtly reflecting their body language to build rapport. So if they lean back, you subtly lean back. If they uncross their legs, you do the same. But obviously, don't make it super obvious. You don't want to freak them out.
Right. Subtlety is key.
Exactly. The idea is that by subtly mirroring them, you're creating this subconscious sense of connection and understanding. Ventas.pdf also recommends just generally using positive and open body language yourself. Things like making good eye contact without staring them down, of course, keeping your arms uncrossed, using open hand gestures when you talk. All those things project warmth and trustworthiness.
It's like you're speaking their language without saying a word.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a ton of awesome stuff today, from the psychology of selling to the power of body language. But honestly, this is just scratching the surface of what Ventas.pdf has to offer.
Seriously, this book is like a gold mine. I'm definitely going to be revisiting it and recommending it to, like, everyone I know.
It's a must-read for anyone who wants to understand not just how to sell, but how people work in general.
So true. It's all about connection, right?
100%. Building those genuine connections based on trust and understanding, and that's something that goes way beyond selling. It's something that can enrich every aspect of your life.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Ventas.pdf. We hope you've enjoyed this journey into the fascinating world of sales and human behavior.
And remember, keep practicing those techniques, keep those conversations flowing, and most importantly, keep believing in the power of connection. Until next time, happy selling, everyone.